General Sani Kukasheka, what is it that can be learned from the military example with regard to recruitment and training? I know this is a very broad question, but what is it that other law enforcement agencies can learn? Because strictly, the military is not a law enforcement agency, but what is it that we can learn from it?
Well, thank you very much. I think there are so many things. First and foremost, over time, procedures are being adhered to, and they are being systematic. And most importantly is understanding the fact that the nature of military duty or service is something that you cannot continue to cover the ineptness or inefficiency of a particular officer or soldier, as the case may be. More so given the current dispensation where we are, contending with myriads of security challenges. The saying is that by the time you manage someone as a cadet, definitely you continue to manage him up to the time he becomes a general. So why should you, in the first place, shoot yourself in the foot by enlisting or recruiting someone that you will keep on managing, that you will not get the desired result? So invariably, just like the AIG has said, there are procedures, and the procedures are being adhered to. And more so, you understand that you are also a stakeholder, because bulk of the recruitment officers that we have in the States, they are the rank of majors or thereabout, and you graduate up to brigadier general. So they are stakeholders in the scheme of things. If you recruit the wrong material, and of course, possibly he might not be adequately trained, and you, at the end of the day, he will end up being in your command. And of course, he will ruin that your command. That is, even if you are lucky, that through his misdemeanor, he did not lead to loss of lives and equipment. So invariably, it's question of, responsibility to our various duties. And I can give you an example. Nigerians, they are very, very wonderful in the sense that I could remember way back in the 90s when I was serving as a young officer, even in Depot Nigerian Army, we had these recruitment officers in the States. So there was this guy who specialized, more or less like, I say, a mercenary. His job is to go through the procedures of recruitment process on behalf of a particular candidate, given certain amount of money. But of course, during the screening process, that recruitment officer realized that a particular person is not the same person that he recruited in that state. And of course, I was marveled. I said, how do you know? He said, because over time, the recruitment exercise takes certain period of time. So you get to know those that are candidates over time, right from the physical, certificate screening, physical screening, medical checkup. So you tend to have your fingers on each and every one of them. You know their peculiarities. Now, he said, look, over his dead body, and lo and behold, the man confessed that actually that is how he has been living. Over time, when they come to Zaria, he will thin out and the other person will come in. Because he remembers specifically that one has protruded tooth. Mm-hmm. And he disqualified him. And how comes he was there? Mm-hmm. Just to tell you that he has an eagle eye and has eyes for details. And he was being responsible, to know the implications of what he is doing. Now, that is one. Secondly, just like I said, times have changed. Invariably, whatever you're doing should not be in isolation with the context of the Nigerian society. What are those supporting elements that, enhance, people with flair for other things to go for it? Take, for instance, a lot of people are compelled to go into the law enforcement recruitment simply because there are no other alternative employment opportunities. So let me join the army. So you see, the number, unlike before, is so large, so it is very difficult to monitor and evaluate. And of course, even the funding for the recruitment exercise. Take, for instance, the medical procedure. or the what do you call it, the vetting. And I remember again, there was a time somebody was recruited and the police in Zaria raised an observation simply because he was a convicted rapist before. That is another thing. Then secondly, what are those, again, vetting procedures even after recruitment? We have had instances, supposedly somebody with A1 in geography, and he was asked, what are the cardinal points? He doesn't know. Yes. So these are issues that we have to, so it's a total or a holistic system. It is not just the agency that is even doing the recruitment, but the wider society, because you have to involve, what do you call it, the state employment promotion officers, because they ought to know who is party. Just yesterday I saw someone was lamenting about recruitment into one of the agencies that they came from a particular state and particular names they don't belong to that state. I said, well, first and foremost, you should find out whether the list is correct or not, because sometimes with the social media there are so many things flying around. But if that is the case, what is the role of those people from the state? And what are the role of other law enforcement agencies? Because I know when you are thinking of security, you must recruit the right caliber of people, those who possess the qualification. It is not just about certification or physical fitness, but even psychologically. And I can tell you, there was also another instance when somebody's son was disqualified and they used the blanket reason of psychological, he failed psychological test. And he said, no, his son was up and doing this and that and all the rest. They say, okay, now, your son has been into substance abuse for quite some time now. He couldn't believe it. For the past 3 years, his son has been, taking marijuana and all the rest of the thing. And by the time they sat him with the son, and the son started telling how he has been pilfering some amount of money to do, he started crying. So basically, it is not just that. Even the society has a role to play in terms of child upbringing. Because in most cases, anytime you have a problematic child, you hear, oh, let him go to the army because he's very stubborn. And I said,
right,
come on.
right.
People who have once told me that, and I told them that, look, I never know that you have such a low opinion about me that you thought I was a truant child before I joined the army. No,
strong-headed.
I was passionate about the nation. That is why. It is not because of one shortcoming. So the parents themselves should up their game in the sense of upbringing of the children so that the right people will be recruited into the system. And because honestly, there is a limit to which you can, do I say mold a civilian into a fighting machine, a soldier, for instance? Because the value system has changed, and of course the training period still remains the same. And just like he said, of course there is need, just like Abraham said about innovation in terms of training, given the fact that the value system of the Nigeria has changed, and the training period still remains the same. I think 6 months, either for the police and civil defense, and I believe also in the army. So we really have to critically look at all these things and bring everybody involved that has role to play and all the stakeholders, including traditional rulers, because they know them. They know them in the recruitment and system. And again, without adherence to the procedure, we are in real trouble. I could remember again, there was a time, I don't want to mention name, a federal lawmaker took a bus to depot Nigerian army with a number of youth. He wanted them to be recruited into the army. Now, for goodness sake, the commandant of depot Nigerian army, he has no role whatsoever in the recruitment process. His is to train these people from raw civilians into fighting machine for the need of the Nigerian army. But yet he, of course, he is a member of an influential committee, and you can see how careers and all the rest. So the issue of vested interest has to be dealt with, and we can only think of that if we have a proper sense of direction, because it is just like, what do they say, the computer system. It is what you garbage in, that is what you garbage out. So if we want these law enforcement agencies to have the right caliber of human resources that are professional, are passionate about the job, we have to critically look at the recruitment process, and in so doing, we have to look at these factors that I have said.
Thank you so much.